Hey everybody, and welcome to Bible class. Can you join me with an open Bible in Proverbs chapter 14? We are continuing to explore the great wisdom that is found right here in the heart of the Bible, in the book of Proverbs. As we walk through life, there are all sorts of issues that come our way, right? All sorts of forks in the road where we have decisions to make. What sort of heart am I going to have? What sort of person am I going to be? How am I going to treat the people around me? What sort of integrity or selfishness, wisdom or foolishness am I going to live with today? Remember, we have pictured wisdom and foolishness like two women calling out for our attention. Most recently, we've been looking at some practical areas of life. Today, I need to use the book of Proverbs to talk with you, to look in the mirror myself, and to think about the fool who doesn't keep his or her cool. Why would we describe someone who can't keep their cool as a fool? Well, that's exactly the sort of language we run across in the book of Proverbs, chapter 14. Look at it in your Bible, verse 29. Here's some wisdom. Whoever is slow to anger. What do we mean by keeping your cool? There are times that we all get flustered and frustrated, maybe angry, but whoever is slow to anger has great understanding. But he who has a hasty temper exalts folly or foolishness. And so there are ways that we need to be slow, not hasty in the handling of our anger. That is the path of wisdom. And so let's just walk through several of these short statements. We'll go through them in the order that they come in Proverbs, and then I'll kick it over to your in-person class teacher and we can talk together. What do we need to learn from this? For now, look at the next chapter, Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 1. How can I be slow to anger? Well, here's some wisdom. A soft answer turns away wrath. It's like wrath is coming towards me, or wrath is ready to come out of me. And what can get that turned around? A soft answer. What goes through your mind when you hear soft answer? Oh, on the other side, a harsh word stirs up anger. That's not the path of wisdom. Look in this same chapter at verse 18. A hot-tempered man, someone who can't keep their cool, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife. But here it is again. He who is slow to anger quiets contention. You know what contention is? It's tempers that are flaring. There's disagreement that is boiling. How can we diffuse a contentious situation? Well, we've got to learn to be slow to anger. You might have to turn a page. Look at the next chapter, Proverbs 16 and verse 32. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. You see, this is about much more than just physical strength or power. This is inner strength. This is something that we learn. We must learn to rule our spirits. How do we do that? We need wisdom, right? The next chapter, Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 1, in the context of our homes, our family lives. Better is a dry morsel with quiet. This isn't a steak dinner, right? It's like a dry piece of bread, but better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. What's the difference between strife and quiet? We need to explore that together as a class. Same chapter, Proverbs 17 and verse 14. The beginning of strife, the beginning of an argument, the beginning of a quarrel is like letting out water. Once that opens up and starts to flow, it can be awfully hard to get it to stop. So here's wisdom. Quit before the quarrel breaks out. Proverbs has a lot to say about learning to keep our cool. In Proverbs 19 and verse 11, good sense. We've talked a lot already in this series about thinking before we speak, thinking before we act. Here's good sense. It makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense. There are going to be times that I'm offended, but maybe the wisest thing I can do is to overlook that offense. Let me give you one more toward the end of Proverbs. Proverbs 29 and verse 22. A man of wrath stirs up strife, and one given to anger causes much transgression. Here's the path of foolishness, being a man of wrath, just stirring things up because I'm given to anger, and that causes a great deal of transgression. But that is not the sort of walk through life God is calling us to walk. So what can we learn about keeping our cool from this great book of wisdom in the Bible? Let's dig in. Thanks so much for being in class. Hope you have a great rest of your class and a great start to this new week.